Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and thanks for subscribing to the channel. Today we are going to learn about Laravel Blade. So without wasting any time, let's start by creating a new file, Blade file. So for that I will come to resources, view, and in here I will create a new file with the name of for example my view dot, and it's important to after giving it a name to type blade and .php. So enter. Now let's create an HTML5. In here I will type h1 tag and type my view. To access this view and the routes, I will create a new route. I will type route : view and give it a URL, for example test. Then I will type my view name. Now to let's go to browser. In here let's type the URL. As you guys can see, I can access the Blade file. Now if I want to check if the user is logged in or not, to do that I have a helper which is Auth, and in here I can type check if the user is Auth, display this, otherwise else. In here display h1 not logged. Okay, now if I go back to browser, refresh the page, as you guys can see I got not logged because I'm not logged in. So let's go and log in. Let's go back to the our page. So I got my view, and we also have the reverse of this. Let's comment this out. To comment we type like this, and we have, for example, guest. If guest show h1 guest, else if the user is logged in display logged in. Now if I go back to browser, refresh the page, I get logged in. Now if I go back to home, log out from this, and if I go back test, as you guys can see I got guest. So this is the way to check the Auth and guest of the user. Now another thing, if I want to access the user name or email address, let's see how we can do that. For that for example, in here I will create another h1 tag, and if I want to access the user name, I will open two curly brackets and I will type Auth user then name. Now let's go back to browser. Let's log in. Okay, now let's go to back here. So as you guys can see I get the name. Now if I want to get the email, I will type email. Let's refresh back. Similarly, if I want to get the ID, I can type ID and I can get the ID. So any column in your users table, if you want to access it, you can access it like this. But if you want to only access the ID, there's a shorter way, no need to write that much. You can write like this: Auth ID, like a function. And in the browser, if we go refresh the page, as you guys can see nothing changed, we still get the ID. Another thing, in Blade you can also format dates. For example, in my users table I have created add and updated add. So these two are basically default Laravel columns. All the tables it will add. So if I want to access that, at first I will type auth user and created add. So now if I go to browser, refresh the page, I get the date and time. And if I want to format this date, what I can do is do like this format and give it the format, for example like this: year, day, month. If I refresh, I get like this. Or if I type year, month, day, go back, refresh, I get the date like this. So now let's go and see how we can do a loop in Blade file. So to create a loop, I will type at $4 I is equal to 0 and I until I is smaller than 10, do $I plus plus and end for loop. So anything that I type between this, it will run 10 times. So for example, let's say I will type h1 and I want to see $I. So save. Now let's go back to and refresh the page. As you guys can see, I got it 10 times. So the first time 0 because I started with 0. This is the way we create a for loop. Now let's go to controller and fetch a data, send it to the view and see how we can get that. So for that I will go to app http controllers. For example, I will open this teachers table and in here I will type a method public function get teachers and I will say return teachers all. So sorry, I will store this in a variable and I will return view, which is my view with this variable, and I will type compact the items. So now let's create a route for this. I will comment this out. I will create route get view, let's say test again, and teachers controller colon class and my method name. Okay, so in here we send our variable is items. Now if I want to access it, I can access it in my view like this. I will create a for each loop. Inside here I will type my variable, which is items, same this, and I will say items as item, and in here I will type, for example, I will want to fetch the name, so I will type item dash name. Now let's go to browser, refresh the page. Okay, we forgot the semicolon here. Now let's save. Let's go back to browser, refresh. So as you guys can see, we got all the names in here. Similarly, we can get, if I go to teachers table, I can get phone, date and email. Let's say I want to fetch the email. In the state of name, I will type email. Now let's go back and refresh the page. As you guys can see, we got all the email. Now another very important thing for in here, as you guys can see, I wrote all. So if I write all, or if I write gate, let's say for example here I will type a condition where id greater than 4 and I will type gate. Now if I type gate, this model will give me an array, then I will use for each loop. Now if I go and refresh the page, as you guys can see, I got the email. But if I, instead of gate, I type here first, now instead of array I get an object. But if I go to browser, refresh the page, I will get this error, attempt to read property email on bool. So whenever you get this error, it means that your variable is object, not array. So we don't have, we use here for each. We can directly say items email. Now let's go refresh the page. Now as you guys can see, we got our email. So this is the way that we can access the variable from which is sent from the controller. So now let's go and to the next step. Another thing, in Blade file we can also include another Blade file inside our main Blade file. Let's say for example this one, this part of code I use it multiple times, so I don't have to write it in each Blade file. And if I want to change one thing, then I have to change it in all the Blade files. So to prevent this, I create a new Blade file. For example, check auth.blade.php, and I will copy this, or let's say I will cut it from here and paste it here. Now I can use it in my main Blade file. I will come in the top, I will say add include and give it my Blade file name, which is check auth. Now if I go back to browser, refresh the page, as you guys can see, I can it's included in my this main Blade file. If I change this, for example, my view from check auth, and let's go and refresh it back, as you guys can see, we have accessed it. We can also send parameters to our this Blade file. We can do like this, comma, then array, and give it a name. For example, name will be, let's say, test name. Now to access this name, in here I will just open this brackets and $sign name. Now let's go refresh the page. Now we have accessed our parameter. So this is the way that we access include another Blade files to our main Blade files. Now let's go to another tip. Now let's start by creating a new layout. To create a new layout, what I can do is comes to views, layouts, and inside layouts I will create a new file with the name of master.blade.php, and in here I will create my template. Now my template is ready. Now I want here the title out always. In here I will say yield and I will say title. Now inside the body I want to always display the content of the page, so I will type here yield content. Now after the body I always want to type the scripts, so I will type here yield script. and in the top I always want to display my style, so I will type here at yield style and remove this $sign. Now if I want to include this into my views, what I will do is go to my view and remove all of them. I will type extend and I will give the layout location and name, which is inside layouts folder and master. Now if I save this only and go to browser, refresh my page, as you guys can see I got blank. Now if I go and type something in my master blade, for example in here h1 from master template. Now let's go refresh the page. As you guys can see it came. Now if I type here in my views, in here I say section, I want a content here, and so I will type content, and after section I always have to end the section, so I will type end section. Now if I type here h2 from my view, save and refresh the page, as you guys can see I got this from the my view and this one from my template. So this is the way that we create a layout. Now I have downloaded this template from this link. I will add it to description. You guys can get it from description. Now I will download this and use this template in my project. So let's see how we can do that. First thing, I will come to code and download this zip. Once the download is finished, I will open the downloaded file and I will extract this. Extract. Okay. Now I will pause the video once the extraction is finished. Okay, the extraction is finished. Now I am going to open this folder and put it inside my project. So to do that I will come and copy the assets folder here, put this assets folders inside my public folder and open the index file from here, put this also in my project. Now I will copy everything inside this index file to my main view, to my master view here. Now let's go to browser, refresh our page. So the template is ready. Now what we have to do is to separate the header, the sidebar and the footer, separate them in the separate view files. So for that what I do is create a new file. For example, I will say here header.blade.php. Now inside the header I will move all the header files from here. Let's go to the top here, the header. I will cut everything from here. Let's format them first. Now let's cut all the header from here, cut, paste them here and include them back inside our master layout. So master layout layouts.header. Now let's go back to browser, refresh our page. Okay, nothing changed. Similarly I will do exactly with the footer. Cut it from here, create a new file, footer.blade.php and paste it here, then include it back inside the master. Include layout layout footer. So now this is the rest, all everything I think belongs to the content. Let's delete all of them. Let's go back to browser. Yeah, now in the top in title, in here I will type this add yield title, then inside here I will say yield content. Okay, so now everything is ready. Now let's go to our my view. In here let's say let's create a high with the template. Okay, now let's go back, refresh our page. As you guys can see, it worked. So this is it for this video. Thanks for watching the video, and if you like the video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, please write it down in the comments.